This is the most expensive toy in the world, and I just bought one.
Before Boba Fett became the Holy Grail, Star Wars had to become something bigger than a movie. In 1977, it didn't just change cinema, it changed the toy aisle.
In August of 2024, a J-slot rocket firing Boba Fett sold for $1.34 million.
Kenner hit the jackpot with Star Wars. People went to that movie several times in a row, kind of like Jaws did a few years before that. I've never seen anything like that since.
The problem was, Star Wars became a phenomenon faster than Kenner could make the toys.
You know, they don't just say, hey, we're gonna make this, just crank it out. It's like, no, let's think about how we're gonna create this character. Let's do a design for it first and do multiple prototypes before we put this into mass production.
They kind of conjured up really just some paper, and they sold this thing called the Early Bird Certificate Package for Christmas 1977. And it was essentially a piece of cardboard that had all the original 12 figures painted on it, and parents would buy that for their kids because there were no figures to buy, and they would wrap that up, put it under their Christmas tree, and when the kid opened it on Christmas Day, you got some stickers, and you got, this cool little thing it opened up, and then you got a coupon that you sent in the mail, and then Kenner would send you the first 4 figures. So it was almost like Kenner's way of saying, hey, we didn't quite make enough toys and get all this done in time, but here's an IOU.
For a kid who has no responsibility in the whole world, that's a big deal. You're gonna get a piece of mail. You're gonna get a package. And people look forward to that. I look forward to it. I don't care if it was something you get from a Kool-Aid packet or from, Star Wars. It makes your year, as a kid.
Then came the promise of a new Star Wars character, Boba Fett, available by mail. And not just any figure, one that fired a rocket from its back.
In 1978, it started appearing on the card backs, mailway for a Boba Fett that fires a missile. And then in 1979, they sent you the little white mailer box with a note saying, sorry, it doesn't fire the missile, but here's a Boba Fett. And then he later came out on a 21 back. He was the 21st figure, and you could purchase them at the store, so you didn't need to cut up your cards to mail away. But he was never available to fire a missile. You actually had to work at Kenner. You had to work on the projects. You had to design it. You were a sculptor. So all the kids that would always say like, oh man, mine fired a missile. No, they saw the ad back in the day, and that never happened.
It must be a Mandela effect for every person that's around my age that remembers that they got one in the mail, but we actually didn't get the rocket firing one in the mail. Now Boba Fett, we still received in the mail. And that's why people misremember, because they got one in the mail and it looks just like the ones we have, but it doesn't fire anything. It was glued in.
The rocket-firing Boba Fett existed, but only as a prototype, and there were 2 major versions.
There are 2 different versions of the rocket firing Boba Fett. There's an L slot, which came out first, and they need a safety protocol when it fires off a missile, because you can poke an eye out or you could choke on it. And they made the J slot where it locks into place, so it goes over that nub. The problem is that thin piece of plastic usually breaks off, and then it reverts back to an L slot.
The issue was safety. Boba Fett's plastic rocket could become a choking hazard, or worse. So the toy disappeared before the public ever got to buy it. And that made the surviving examples nearly mythical.
Due to safety concerns, most of these were destroyed, or they should have been, if they weren't taken.
I guess what makes the rocket firing Boba Fett a grail is not just the rarity of it, but just the history, the lore of it.
There are only 7 graded J slots, and there are 25 graded L slots. Now, There are rumors that there might be like around 100 total. Some of those are not graded. If you are going to be spending six figures, you want it to be very authenticated, encapsulated. Probably, I don't know anyone that would want to buy one ungraded.
This is actually the first rocket firing, full-on functional Boba Fett that I've ever personally held in my life. So it was kind of a moment because I'd heard about this thing my whole life as a collector, and so it was cool to actually see it.
For Sean, this isn't just about nostalgia. It is also about capital. A shift is happening. Toys, comics, cards, and games are moving from collections into portfolios.
This isn't just a toy, it's a blue chip asset. But back in the 90s, this was not cool. Kids would make fun of you. Not really any celebrities or hype people were in the toy game. The first time I ever owned a rocket fire and Boba Fett, I think I paid like around $26,000, give or take, and that was at the top of the mark back then. But fast forward to today, and now the entry level to get in the game is six figures just to play with a rocket fire and Boba Fett.
So I guess a rocket fire and Boba Fett has outperformed the stock market.
I mean, there's definitely no denying that something like this rocket firing Boba Fett, or let's say a Mickey Mantle card, or even a first edition book of some sort, these are becoming assets for this new generation.
Before the rocket-firing Boba Fett was an asset, it was an idea, a sculptor's vision, an engineering problem, a prototype that failed to make it to shelves.
Toys are absolutely art. To me, it's being a sculptor myself, working in clay, working, with bronze. It's just a different type of medium. I mean, honestly, I feel bad for the artist that, originally designed this and it was shot down because, we, as artists, you have so many ideas and you have so many, dreams and visions of things, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Now what he was deemed a failure is now probably one of the most valuable things he ever probably has made. So it's just very interesting how it all comes out in the wash.
The rocket-firing Boba Fett was too dangerous to release, a story too strange to forget, and a holy grail too rare to ignore. What began as a canceled toy became a symbol of where collecting is headed, because sometimes the most valuable toys are the ones we never got to play with.
Every day, we're seeing more and more records being broken. It just keeps on going and going. The nostalgia factor is there.
I remember when he bought his first one 9 years ago, and I took a picture of it then, and I look at it from sometimes and how much we've changed since he bought that. But these things don't change. They're still awesome.
It's not just about money, it's other things too.
I love it too. I mean, I haven't gotten rid of any of my Polly Pockets. I still have all of them, and I will never get rid of them.
Just enjoy yourself. Collect what you like, what you grew up with.